Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and coming at you with another Wargaming and Miniature video. In this video, we're going to continue on painting our German 1/48 scale miniatures for the game 1/48 Tactic. In this video, we're going to be painting Rupert Schneider. Rupert Schneider is wearing a field gray jacket. As you can see here, it's field gray jacket as well as a field gray cap. And so that's what we're going to be painting today. And the field gray that I'm using is Tamiya color field gray. I feel like it is the closest thing to the actual German field gray. I know there are other companies that make field gray, but they just don't seem to be the same color. All right, so jacket time. Just going to paint his jacket. Yep. Not paying too much attention to his fur lining, just the coat itself. And I'm avoiding painting the pants because I'm going to leave the pants this gray primer color that I used. And I used self-etching primer. I want to say it's Rust-Oleum, but I could be wrong. But the self-etching primer, yeah, it looks like it's Rust-Oleum self-etching primer. I'm looking over there at it. And it comes out this really dark gray color. As you can see, the field gray almost blends in with it exactly. Sometimes I use the self-etching primer as field gray and don't worry about painting the field gray. But you can see the field gray has a little bit more green to it than the primer. So there will be a little bit extra, what's the word? Contrast. All right, now I'm also going to paint the hat. Yeah, getting the hat, cap, or whatever you call it. Field gray, there we go. So we're going to leave that off to the side to dry, and then we will be back with the next color. Right, on Rupert Schneider, what we want to do is we're going to continue on with the German gray, but we're going to use it for his boots. Because they were black at one time, but over time the dye would have faded. So I'm using German gray because it's almost black, but it's not really black. And he's wearing jack boots like he's on parade. I think this guy is modeled after the German that was hunting the Russian enemy at the gates. Okay, so there's his boots. Now, his gloves are also, he's wearing winter gloves. We're going to paint those gray as well. Okay, so his boots and his gloves have been painted gray. We're going to send him off to the side and let him dry a little bit. All right, we're going to use wood brown for Rupert's rifle. We're going to go ahead and paint all the wood furniture on it. Which is basically his buttstock and his foregrip. Perfect. His also, we're going to paint his canteen cover. Because it's a brown leather. I see it, he's got an entrenching tool. We're going to go ahead and paint that entrenching tool handle wood brown. We're also going to paint his bayonet handle wood brown, and his rifle the wood furniture portion of it. Wood brown. All right, now we need to let that dry before we move on to the next color. I see he's gripping his Yeah, he's gripping his sling as well, but we're going to paint that later. All right, we're going to set him off to the side, and we'll be back with him in just a little bit. All right, on Rupert here, we're going to go ahead and paint his haversack with the camouflage, German camouflage beige color. All right, and what I'd like to do with the beige is also cover his collar, if I have that capability. The inside of the collar, that is. Giving the impression that it is fur-lined. All right, and and we'll let that set to the side and let that dry, and then we'll be back with the next color. All right, now the next color we're going to use on Rupert is polyester black green. We're going to put that on his mess kit. And has canteen cup. Okay, so his mess kit and canteen cup are painted with the black green. Now we're going to let that sit off to the side, and we'll let that dry before we move on to the next step. All right, the next color we're going to use on Rupert is black licorice. we're going to paint his rifle barrel and his scope. Top part of his rifle of that color. Sorry, my brush keeps hitting the camera. I keep going. And the entrenching tool cover. And then his straps. Nicely. Excellent. Now I'm going to let that guy sit off to the side and dry a minute before we move on to the next step. Alright, the next color we're going to use is natural steel. Now I'm only using natural steel for the weapon, not the scope. So, got to be a little bit careful here on how you're applying the steel. There you go, just like that. Alright, we're going to let that sit and I'll let it dry. Alright, now the next color we're going to use is a wash. It's the light tone. I mixed 2 drops light tone for every drop of water. And what we're going to do is we're just going to slather it on to the model. What's going to happen is it's going to bring out all the details. It's going to make the straps stand out. It's also going to settle down into all the little cracks and crevices. And it's going to enhance shadows and the details that you see on the physical model. There you go, he's completely covered. And so we set that off to the side and let him dry. Alright, the next color we're going to paint on Rupert is the German Camouflage Orange Ochre. Alright, now we're only painting his sling this color. So locate his sling, which he's got tucked up underneath his gloves. And really, that's it. And the back side of the sling. Alright, and that's it for the sling. Now we're going to set him off to the side and we'll be back to him in just a minute. Alright, the next color we're going to put on Rupert is a highlight color over the wash. It's German Army Field Gray. What you'll note from Warlord Army Painter, what you'll notice is this field gray is ever so slightly lighter than the original field gray. It's almost exactly the same color. Now his jacket is field gray, so we're going to paint raised areas to make it look like, you know, the highlights, like his pockets, the corners of his jacket, And you can see how it's got a slightly different color. And his cuffs and any raised area of his jacket or any part of the jacket that is tight. We don't want to paint across the seam line because that is where the fabric is stitched together, like on his shoulder. Don't want to cross that. We want to leave the stitch line. We want that to be, you know, some modeler, some sculptor spent a lot of time putting that model together, so we want to let his work shine. Actually, this guy is already starting to look really good. Okay. A lot of times elbows, shoulders, knees will be like stretched thin, stretched, the fabric there will be stretched tight. So they would need to be highlighted. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Now we need to do his hat. The top of his hat, obviously. And then anything that looks like it was stretched. Or needs to be highlighted. Edges, folds in fabric. I know I sound like a broken record saying it over and over and over. Okay. I think he is good. We're going to set him off to the side, let him dry. All right, now on Rupert, we have a final paint, and that's going to be the Tamiya Field Gray. The Tamiya Field Gray is going to go all the way around his base to correct any imperfections, like from washes that might have dripped or any paint you might have gotten on the edge of the base. We're going to go ahead and correct all of that. And then we're going to set that off to the side, let it dry, and we'll be back with the next step. All right, now the first step of basing the model is to get some Elmer's glue. I put it in a palette. I use my Tester's synthetic brush, and I brush the glue all over the top of the base, right up to the edge of the base and right up to the edge of the boots. We got to get the front side of the boots. We got to get the sides of the boots. We're actually painting the base. And I'm pushing it up to the side of the boot. Now we want to make sure that when I cover the base, there's white everywhere. So I know the glue is thick enough to hold on to my texture. Because when I apply the texture, I want it to soak into the glue. Drop a couple of rocks. This is talus, and that's talus is ballast. I don't remember, but this is extra fine ballast, I think, and it's brown, and it's so fine it blows my mind. No, I mean it's fine, and it looks like dirt at this scale. So we're going to go ahead and set that into a box. We're going to let that dry for about 30 minutes, and then we'll be right back. All right, now we're going to go ahead and apply grass to the base, but we're going to use Battlefield Grass Green from Army Painter. It's actually one of my favorite flock colors. Okay, we're going to put Elmer's glue on top of the stone work that we already did, but we're going to ensure we don't cover the large stones that we sprinkled. We'll go right up to the edge of them, but we won't cover them. We're going to put Elmer's glue on about 25% of this model. Be sure to pat the glue down and not brush it on. That way you don't ruin the work you did earlier. If you see any imperfections, go ahead and add the glue there now. That way the grass will cover up any mistakes. That looks good. We sprinkle the grass green over the entire base, letting it mound up. And we don't shake it off. We set the model down for about 30 minutes so that the grass can soak into the Elmers before we shake anything off. Rupert Schneider, the sniper. All right, now here is all 7. You got your 4 starters and then the 3 expansion guys. So tell me what you think about the way I painted these guys, and in the comments below. And be sure to also go back and check out my 101st Paratrooper painting videos as well. If you like these videos, go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel and continue on watching, because we're going to paint some of the terrain next. All right, and I'll catch you next time.